Hi, and welcome to this live reading from The Girl and the Gargoyle, The Girl and the Raven, Book 2, by Pauline Gruber, and this is presented by Itsy Bitsy Book Bits. Chapter 1, Lucy Walker. The clatter of my cell phone bouncing against the nightstand startles me awake. My heavy lids refuse to open. Another late night on the roof with Marcus, and that was after spending 2 grueling hours creating a killer CD mix for him. Did he struggle this much when he made my CDs last year? It's a good thing he has a stereo in his car to play them. I snuggle into my pillow, sleep beckoning. My phone vibrates again. I reach for it with a groan. Marcus is probably the only person I would forgive for bugging me this early. Maybe my gargoyle boyfriend wants to meet me for an early morning kiss. Nothing could top that.
Seriously? Are you kidding me? You're the luckiest girl alive!
I reread Katie's text, but it makes no sense. Suddenly, I bolt upright. Is it possible she saw us last night? Crap! I fell asleep on the roof with Marcus. He and his wings and all their glorious beauty delivered me safely to the ground. He doesn't need his wings for that small of a jump. He did it for me. He knows I love them. I swallow a shriek as I spot the figure leaning against my dresser. "What are you doing in my bedroom?" I snap, my heart hammering against my ribcage. Jude crosses his arms over his chest. In the year that I've known him, my father has learned to mimic human gestures well. Then it hits me. That's one of my most common gestures. "I would like you to meet your great-uncles," Jude announces. As I tamp down the adrenaline surge and glare at my intruder, Daddy Demon, and not Seamus the demon here to kill me, I swallow a different kind of fear. "I told you it would happen when the time's right." "I'm done waiting." His voice is cold. I know that tone well. He isn't going to budge. "Let me ease them into it," I plead. My phone vibrates in my hand. That's when I remember Katie's message.
Well?
What do I say to my best friend and neighbor if she saw Marcus deliver me to my bedroom window? Play dumb? My uncles putter around the kitchen, clanging pans and chopping vegetables. The smell of freshly brewed coffee drifts into my bedroom, followed by the heavy, smoky smell of bacon. "Perfect. We can have breakfast together," Jude says. I return my cell to the bedside table. "Please," I whisper, "not today." The front door creaks open. Sheldon grabbing the Sunday paper from the sidewalk? How do I get rid of Jude? I throw off my sheet and blanket, thinking through a safe response to Katie. "Bernard, can you come here, please?" Something about Sheldon's tone muffled through my closed bedroom door causes the back of my neck to prickle. Do they know Jude's here? How did he get in, anyway? Did he pick the lock on the front door? "Lucy!" Bernard calls out. Jude pushes himself off the dresser. "I'll be out front. Come and invite me in." In one smooth motion, he climbs out the window. So that's how he got in. I change out of pajamas and into shorts and a t-shirt, my stomach churning. How do I introduce Jude? Sheldon despises him for what he did to Mama. Never mind that he's been absent my entire life. How do I explain that Graham played a role in keeping my father and me apart? That she used magic to do it? My uncles are in the dark about everything. They don't know Graham was a witch. They don't know about all the supernaturals living in our 3-flat apartment building. And they don't know I'm half witch, half demon. If they did, I think their heads would explode. "Lucy!" Sheldon's voice is much louder this time. "Hey, Sheldon, Bernard, what's up?" I ask as I entered the living room. Travel brochures decorate the coffee table. Are they still debating between Costa Rica and Alaska for our family vacation? "We were going to ask you the same question." Bernard frowns, his hands on his hips. They know about Jude, but how? Sheldon turns me around as Bernard pushes aside the drapes and jabs his finger toward the window. What in the world is that? I look outside. Oh no. Katie's text message now makes sense. It had nothing to do with Marcus and his wings. My mouth falls open as I stare at the brand spanking new dark blue car that screams, "Officer, I'm a teenage driver. Please pull me over." Shiny and gorgeous, adorned with a humongous red bow on top with words written in gold script, so large I can read them clearly from the apartment. "Happy belated birthday, Lucy." My entire nervous system buzzes with panic. Subtlety is not Jude's strong suit. I feel the weight of my uncle's stares. "Something you want to share with the class, Luce?" Sheldon asks. I wrap my arms around my stomach. Forget butterflies, I've got a violent case of hornets swarming in my belly. "Yeah, that's a tough one. There's a $60,000 vehicle sitting outside with your name on it. Give it a try," Bernard pushes. 60,000? I'm torn between wanting to pummel Jude and melting into a pool of goo under my uncle's hot stares. A jump at the sudden knock at the front door. Another shot of adrenaline jolts through my body. My father couldn't wait 10 minutes? Neither of my uncles move. A second knock rings out, this time more urgent. I rush to answer it, relieved to get away from Sheldon and Bernard. It's Marcus, and he looks unhappy. Hi," I nod suddenly toward my uncles. "Not a good time." Marcus glances over my shoulder. "Just stopped by to see what you're doing today." He bends to hug me. "Persephone called. The ravens are going berserk. She had to set them free to keep them from injuring themselves trying to escape." Persephone lives in the third-floor apartment. She's also a witch and was Graham's best friend. "Why? What's wrong?" I whisper in his ear. "Marcus, do you know anything about this car?" Sheldon calls out. "I haven't been outside yet. What car?" Marcus pushes past me into the apartment. My uncles pull the drapes back to expose the Sweet 16 birthday gift. "I see," Marcus says stiffly, turning back to me. "I'm guessing he wants to talk to you." That's when I notice his twitching, the strain of his muscles as he's trying to suppress the urge to morph. Duh. Marcus knows Jude is here. He can sense him. This is going to be bad. Sheldon and Bernard will be furious. I'll be grounded forever, no longer allowed to spend time on the roof with Marcus. Will they insist I quit my nanny job with the Douglas family? Will they kick me out for being the world's biggest liar? "Who gave you the car, Lucy?" Bernard asks in a huff, on the verge of losing his patience. "Oh, well," it suddenly feels like 100 degrees in the room as a droplet of sweat trickles down my back. You see," Marcus's jaws clenched and cords stand out on his neck. He's fighting the change. This is torture for him. I have to tell my uncles and get Jude out of here for Marcus's sake. "It's a gift from my father," I blurt out. My mind races for an abbreviated version of the truth. "He contacted me recently. He knew all kinds of stuff about me and Mama and Graham." I pull my hair over my shoulder and twist it. "I wasn't sure if I wanted to see him after all these years, but I did meet him over ice cream." My voice trails off at the looks of confusion and astonishment on Sheldon and Bernard's faces. Sheldon pulls at his bottom lip. Your father? He's back?" What was it Sheldon told me last year about Mama and Jude? She seemed to lose her mind, literally. Her life revolved around him, and when he left, it was like her mind, his voice faltered for a moment. He swallowed and forced himself to continue. It was like her mind and her will to live went with him. Bernard pulls the dish towel from his shoulder, his eyes coming into focus for the first time since I dropped the bomb. "Lucy, this is big news. Did Marcus say the man is outside? If that's the case, you should invite him in. He can have breakfast with us and introduce himself." His gaze slides from me to Marcus. "Marcus, you're welcome to join us as well." I don't think Marcus can stay." I put a hand on Marcus's arm and gave him a firm shove toward the door. Being in Jude's presence will only torment him more. Even now he's trembling and his skin is hot beneath my fingers. Marcus ignores me and nods at Bernard. "I'd love to, thanks." I can't think of a way to argue with Marcus that won't involve my uncles finding out I've hidden other things from them too. Why can't Marcus listen to me for once and go back upstairs to his own apartment? It'll be bad enough having breakfast with Jude and my uncles, but Marcus and Jude together in one room could be a disaster. They hate each other too much. Sheldon and Bernard stare at me expectantly. Would you like me to go with you? Sheldon asks, gesturing toward the door. To invite your father in? There are 100 ways this could go horribly wrong, but I can't think of an objection that will sound reasonable to my uncles. I shake my head, trying to keep the alarm from my face. I need a couple of minutes alone with Jude. With tremendous effort, I force my legs to move and I walk outside to Jude's fancy black sedan. I refrain from giving it a swift kick. Jude rolls down the window. What do you think? He asks. I ignore the shark-like smile on his face. I chose blue because it favors your coloring, but if you prefer something else, just name it. We had a deal. You were supposed to stay away from my uncles. I grew tired of waiting. The smile is still on his face. Besides, with your horrible commute to school, I thought you could use a more convenient method of transportation. Also, I believe fathers giving daughters a car for their 16th birthday is traditional. Yeah, you're gonna win Father of the Year, Jude. I glare at him. Is it normal in the demon world for fathers to hang out in their daughter's bedroom? Because in the human world, it's creepy and inappropriate. I like to watch you sleep. It's the only time you look peaceful. If you lived under my roof... He's been in my bedroom before today. A white-hot ball of panic surges inside me. Is he going to force me to move in with him? What does that mean for Sheldon and Bernard? That's not going to happen. Maybe I should put bars on my windows. Right, like that would keep him out. But it's the hard look in his eyes, the savage curl of his mouth that knocks the breath out of me, like he would do whatever it took to get me to move in with him. Sheldon and Bernard. My fingers start to tingle. Heat races down my arms. I could blast him right now, torch his car. Better yet, I could torch his birthday present. I funnel the heat to my fingertips. The foyer door opens behind me. Crap! I gulp in air and tamp down hard on the heat. Lucy? Sheldon calls out. He sounds nervous. I can't blame him. For all he knows, Jude will drive me bonkers just like he did to Mama. My uncles stand on the front porch, both wringing their hands. I turn back to Jude, my tone sharp as a knife. My uncles want to meet you. I'm supposed to invite you in for breakfast. If you screw this up for me or harm them in any way, I would be delighted. In the blink of an eye, he's out of the car. Way too eager. His window is down. I glance up at the sky, hoping for a storm to come and ruin the interior of his expensive vehicle. Jude strides ahead of me and thrusts his hand out to Sheldon. I follow like an afterthought, my insides frothing as if I've just made a deal with the devil, which, actually, I have. Sheldon Myers, Vera's brother. Jude smiles broadly as they shake hands. It's great to meet you. He turns to Bernard. You must be Sheldon's partner, Bernard Goldman. You've done a wonderful job with Lucy. She adores you both. Charisma pours off Jude in waves, coating my uncles and sucking them in. They fall all over each other, grinning as they quickly usher Jude inside. This is not the Jude I know and don't love. These aren't the uncles I know and do love either, treating Jude as if he's some hotshot celebrity. I'm embarrassed for them, and I'm angry at Jude for making them act this way. Jude pauses in the living room. His attention lingers on every single detail. The built-in bookcase is loaded with books and knickknacks, the framed artwork, some of which is older than me. Some of this stuff belonged to Graham. I wonder if Jude recognizes anything. I hope you'll stay for breakfast, Bernard gushes. We've made an egg casserole, but if there is something else you prefer, we can whip it up in no time, Sheldon adds. Jude isn't listening. His gaze locks on a series of framed photos arranged on the far wall. Graham and Grandpa looking serious, standing tall and stiff. Mama goofing around, making her younger brother Zach laugh. Mama was 14 in this photo. Sheldon tells me sometimes that I wear her same smile. The photo of Mama riding on Sheldon's back when she was 8 is one of my favorites. So is the black and white shot of Graham and Uncle Zach. Bernard took this candid picture one night when Zach, who was around 11 at the time, danced with Graham in the living room of the old house while listening to records. They both wore carefree smiles. Graham told me once that most boys, that was the age they stopped wanting anything to do with their mom. Zach was different. He never liked being far from her. Her eyes had filled with tears. They always did when she talked about him. A spot on Jude's temple throbs. He leans in as if drawn to the photographs. He doesn't blink or breathe. I touch his arm, zapping him in the process. He tears his attention from the photographs. His gaze meets mine, black and threatening. His lips curve down into a hellish snarl before he turns away and follows my uncles into the kitchen. Something in those photos upset him. A tremor of terror ripples down my back. It's never a good thing when Jude's upset.